Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with spicy lamb sausage and rice stuffed acorn squash. Such a beautiful way to use these gorgeous gourds. And while it takes a while to bake, it is a very, very fast and easy recipe to make. The hardest thing may be cutting these acorn squash in half because they're really, really hard. So you're going to want to make sure you got a nice sharp knife. You're going to keep your hands and fingers completely away from that blade. I like to start it by sort of rocking it back and forth until it's definitely going down the center. All right, that little stem end there, that's the hardest part, so be careful there. Try to go down the middle as evenly as possible and just keep your fingers out of the way and you should be fine. I might give it a tap or two to help it along. All right, once I have it cut in half, I want to see how it sits. If it's not sitting on a flat spot, I'll take the knife and just give it a little trim just to take off that rounded edge so it sits a little more securely. Next step, of course, we're going to take a spoon or a melon baller and just scrape out all those seeds and fibers. And those are prepped. I'm going to toss those into a casserole dish. I lightly oiled the bottom. And then it's on to our stuffing, which features this merguez sausage, a spicy lamb sausage, very, very highly spiced. You can use any spicy sausage for this. I'm going to take it out of the casing. So just cut it with a knife. I'm using scissors here, and that meat will pull right out. All right, so I have about a ½ pound. I'm going to crumble it up in a bowl. I'm going to add some salt, some freshly ground black pepper, some cumin, some cinnamon. I'm also going to add some finely diced red bell peppers and a lot of fresh mint. All right, so mint and lamb definitely go well together, so that really works here. I'm also going to crack in 1 large egg and, what may be a little bit of a surprise, some yogurt or buttermilk. Either will work. I'm using buttermilk here. All right, just a little bit. All right, I want you to take a spoon and I want you to mix that really, really well. I want you to break that meat down into a paste until it looks like that. At that point, I'm going to add a cup of cooked rice. Now, I know you see a little bit of steam there. Don't be alarmed. Mine was still a little warm, which is okay, but cold or room temperature also works. All right, so I'm going to dump the rice in. We're going to mix that thoroughly. And when it's all combined, we're going to go ahead and fill our 4 acorn squash halves. All right, and you want to pack it down pretty good. And you want to go around to make sure you've divided it evenly, which I have right there. All right, to finish this off, I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle a little bit of breadcrumb over the top. I'm also going to put a light dusting of Parmesan cheese and just maybe a ½ teaspoon of olive oil per. Just drizzle it over. So just a little bit of a crust on there sort of protects it, and it will make it look very, very pretty later. All right, now we're going to put this in a 350-degree oven, covered, but very loosely covered. I want you to take a piece of foil and just basically tent it over the top. It should not be touching the squash, all right? I'm going to bake that for 1 hour at 350, and it's going to look like that. So I'm going to test with a skewer here. The acorn squash should just be starting to get tender, just barely starting to soften. I'm going to leave it uncovered, put it back in, same temperature, and bake it for another ½ hour to 45 minutes until 2 things happen. The top looks beautiful and golden brown, and the squash is very, very soft and tender. Then you are ready to taste something incredibly delicious. And yes, of course, you knew it was coming. Let it cool a little bit so you can actually taste it. You're going to be tempted to dig right in, but trust me, a 15-minute wait will be well rewarded with an awesome bite of food. Look at that. Such a glorious combination, that sweet, earthy squash, the spicy sausage, the comforting rice, those slightly exotic seasonings. Just a beautiful thing. Acorn squash, you know they're good for you, but they're almost too good for you. So let's make them a little less good by adding some spicy sausage, yet still have a healthy and delicious dinner, lunch, side dish, you name it. So I really hope you give it a try. Head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts, as usual. And as always, enjoy.